गुड मॉर्निंग सर, कैसे हैं?
हाँ, वो सुलभ में कर दी थी, लेटर में कर दी, टाइम बचा दिया। मैं तो शुक्रिया है। Good morning to everybody. So today again, MMPH 001, Operational Theory and Design. So today we have to discuss about the block 2. This is a basics of the organizational structure. There are two units. Unit number 4 is fundamentals of organizational structure, and unit 5 is your factors of the affecting organizational structures. So in the context of the unit number 4, that is the design process. We have to discuss of the design process. Then evolutionary process of the organizational design, and universal aspects of the organizational design, the strategy, structure, and the process, and new perceptions of the organization's designs, restructuring strategies, etc. And in the unit number 5, we have to discuss about the factors affecting organizational structures. So during the process of this structuring process, what type of problems are coming, that part is there. The meaning, first of all, the meaning of the organizational design and structures, then purposes of the organizational design structures, principle of the good organizational design structures, theories of the organizational design structures, and some key factors affecting the organizations in regard to your design and structures. Apart from that, some other factors is also there, and what are the trends is going on, the new things, that part also, the modern structure, that part also we have to see. Then organizational effectiveness, to improve the organizational effectiveness, that part to be covered. So the block, there are two units. So let's start unit number 4, fundamentals of the organizational structures. The modern organizations are open systems. There are constant interaction with the external environment. And what are the changes going on, especially in the social and political, technical, economic, legal, that have implementation of the organizations. In order to remain the competitive, another part is why the purpose is this, to remain competitive. Organizations respond to the pressure exerted by the environmental factors. The nature of their response depends upon the degree of the pressure, how much pressure is there in respect of the environmental pressure as such. And normally the organizations respond by the formulating new business strategies when the degree of pressure is high, because you are launching for the new project. So definitely there are pressure level will be high. Changes in strategies often necessitated in the organizational design change because it may be a technical changes, it may be some design internal problems, so or market oriented. That changes may be required. That strategically you have to see, and that part is also uh, it will affect in the your organizational design also. So restructuring of the organization's design becomes inevitable when the environment for the organization becomes turbulent and unstable. When the organizations are very unstable conditions, and maybe due to some any reasons, so uh, that you cannot have unavoidable. That cannot be. You have to challenge that type of challenges you have to cope up. Uh, Maybe due to these things, you have to restructuring is required. Burton and the Thakur, 1995, they defined the organizational design as a total pattern of the structural elements and patterns used to manage the overall organizations. The organizational design should be seen as a tool for implementation of the organizational strategies and the attainment of the organizational goal. So always you have to keep in the objectives of these companies, and that should be aligned with the uh, strategy. Strategy should be basically the aligned with the your organizational goal. According to the Barner and the Grange, the study is there regarding the structure of the organization. There were analyses are there like this. So how to organization is put together. And then another thing is who reports to whom. That type of the structuring should be categorically it should be mentioned. The degree of centralization or decision-making power concentrate at the top or where. Maybe basically it may be a centralized, it may be a decentralized, so it is to be fixed. So what type of company should be? The extent of the rules, policies, regulations, and procedures in an organization. Changes in strategies often necessitate changes in the organization design. These all are the analysis part. Another Simon has suggests that as an alternative to the principle of the design, we must attempt to understand the decision making and the communication process which produce the effect. Alan suggests also is a different philosophers and authors have suggested different way. He has suggested the 7-step sequence could be followed to set the design process into action. So what are the process? First is identify the major objectives of the firm and devise and derive the primary line of functions needed to accomplish the objectives. So identification of the main objectives. Number 2 is organize from the top to down by establishing a scalar change of the authority and responsibility. So from top management to bottom layer in the front line in the worker level. So everywhere that what type of authority or responsibility to be given, that part. Organize from the top, from bottom up by integrating the activities of each function. What are the actions, functions are there? Function areas means accounts, productions, your marketing, all the functional area to integrate with up to the top. So bottom to up. Decide the management positions are needed for each activity. So you have to decide it. What are the management position will be there. Identify positions in group related work. Suppose the work is the group nature type, the service oriented, or maybe training oriented things. There are some group is there. So what type of positions that also apply. Seek groupings to ensure balance in the distribution of resources. And 7 is check whether the span of control are appropriate, because span of control basically my earlier video has clearly expanded. I mean, just clarify. Span of control means suppose a particular one manager. If the number of sub-engineers is more, so the span will also be more as a bigger. If it is a one manager and 2-3 subordinates, So their control will be more, area will be more. So depending on the how many subordinates you're controlling. The lower level, maybe the span of control is bigger, and the top level span of control is less. So it should be appropriate. There should not be any stagnation or somewhere the less or big they have. So span of control is to be appropriate and rationally should be good. Evolutionary process of the organizational design. Organizations develop from small to large units slowly by the virtue of time, that slowly from small company organizations that will be large by moving through 4 stages of the life cycle. Now we are talking about the life cycles of the organization life cycles. So there are 4 stages in the cycles. There are birth stage, youth stage, middle stage, and maturity stage. There are 4 stages. The process of the development is accompanied by the corresponding changes in the organizational design. So Burton and the Turco, again the 1995, they have derived things. But stage, basically this is the stage when the organization is created, just created the company, and just very infant condition, I mean very informal. There are no big staffs, and there are not very so much manager there. It is just formatted. Youth stage. During this stage, additional employees are employed. By the time hiring the people, a lot of different section will be there, and managers, the employee will be more as the sales for the company's product and services increases. So based on this, production will also increase, services also increase. So now this stage is there. So although authority is fairly centralized, because even though that time also the authority are centralized, a few trusted employees are involved in decision making process, because with some 2-3 board of directors and 2-3 managers, and maybe like this, they are controlling everything. So there are now free professionals, few professionals and the administrative personnel in the organization. That is the youth stage. Now middle stage. Middle stage, by the time the organization reaches the stages, it has become the somewhat successful and grown in the size. Then its structure is similar to that formal bureaucracy with formalized departments, supporting staff departments, and many professionals and the clerical staffs. So that stage we can say is the middle stage. Now last maturity stage. Maturity stage, during this stage, organization becomes very large and mechanistics. A set of bureaucratic rules are there, regulations, policies prevail. So although authority is fairly centralized, a few trusted employees are involved in the decision-making process. Still, CMD, maybe one chairpersons, chairmen, and the 2-3 board directors, they are taking the full authorities. The decision-making is centralized. The division of labor is highly defined as a result of the rigid virtual hierarchy. The organization is on the brink of stagnation, because when the maturity will come, because there are so many staffs are there, maybe in particular one department there are 4 or 5 managers there. So stagnation started. So at this stage, the organization attempts to become innovative and flexible, because that time you should have some R&D work, research and development is more needed, because you have to engage some of the peoples or the new product to be there, so that what are the staffs and employees can be engaged properly. So it is a decentralized authority within the digital structures. You have to within the structures it should be decentralized authority, and the power and responsibility can be distributed. And that time the relations personals, task forces and project teams are to be formed. So thus it is clear from these 4 stages that the structural characteristics undergo different stages, that we can say there is an organizational life cycle. Universal perspectives of the organizational design part. Now again we can say the mechanism of the organization's design is still not mature to offer theoretical principles and proven practices which should encompasses a variety of organizations. So in that case, how you have to universal perspectives of any organization is designed because you have to universally should be cope up to all the situations. So it should be designed in that way. One is your bureaucratic model, another is your behavioral model, and the contingency perspective. There are three areas there. So you have to see where your company is falling. So last we have to, now we can discuss about the bureaucratic model. So here Max Weber and the German sociologist, they have to conceptualize the idea of the bureaucracy. Central to his work in the development of the concept of the bureaucratic organization's design. According to Weber, a bureaucracy is defined as an organization founded on a legitimate and formal system of the authority. Another approach is there, web-brain approach. The real and ideal organizations should have the following characteristics: a division of labor-based functional specializations, a well-defined hierarchy of the authority so that the scalar change of the commands run from top to bottom. Because in this case, what happened especially in the government job, in the government organizations, there are some system is there, lot of hierarchy is there, and the chain of command runs means one authority to another approval. So in this particular one approval, you have to go through different hierarchies. So then only your file will be signed and that should be approved. So there are basically the top of the organizations and the bottom, so that some sort of your rules and comments are should be in a chain series systems. Bureaucratic model is a system of the rules covering the rights and duties of the employees. There are specifically it is given there what are your rights and what are the duties you have to do. Procedures are clearly defined, dealing with the situation. What type of procedures should be there, particular situation are also defined. Promotion at the selection base or technically is componented, that is also a rule because the 7 years, then only you will be eligible for the promotion. Before that, you cannot take a promotion. So it is decided. The selection process and based on the technical competencies are to be decided. Impersonality and the interpersonal relations, all managers should conduct business in an impersonal manner, thus maintaining an appropriate social distance from their subordinates. One of the basic strength of this model is that it was the first model of organization design development, and it still serves basic foundation of the understanding and an application of the newer organization design approaches also. However, this model has some drawback is there. What are the drawback that will be discussed now? Major drawback is number one that the model tends to be get blocked down with the rules and the regulations because there's so much rule and regulations, so you have to compile all the rule and regulations. So that sometimes it is a block and cannot move further. And this process loses sight of the actual objectives of the organizations. Sometimes we have to behind the objectives, lagging behind the objectives sometimes. Target cannot be met or very easily. So it is not well suited for the changing and uncertain external environment. Suppose the external changes is very fast going on, and where that type of it cannot be suited because you cannot wait for these things. So bureaucratic structures can become so rigid and formalized that organizations simply cannot change fast enough to cope with the external changes. So external changes is going on, but it's uncertainty and going on. Suddenly it has come, but because of the rigidity and the formulations are so strong, structure is bureaucratic nature structures, so it cannot be. Sometimes it may not be possible. That is basically the drawback. The model has evolved from the human relations school of management thought. And now we are talking about the behavioral models, another models. This is basically the thought of human resource HR school management thoughts. Is the classical bureaucratic model. An individual is not identified, and the effect of the entire group is considered in the total process of your management. So on the contrary, you can say in the behavioral model, the performance of an organization is believed to depend on the human beings. Means company has to believe and trust on the employees only, because the humans. So their characters, their behaviors, and some sort of mutual relationships. So it is emerging from the work patterns and the organizational settings. So present scenario that is more successful because you see the human psychology or human nature are changing depending on the situations. So there is no automation. I mean, there are no automatic system. There are no intelligence there. Immediately you can change the mind because it is a process, a human research process. So behavioral model is sometimes latest and it is useful also to survive the things. So, it important factors which play significant roles are the needs, motivations, attitudes, values, leadership, good behavior, perceptions, communications, responsibility, and authority relationship. Let us say by the Lomas and Misra, 2003. They are derived in this in the report. Other way, in the other words, we can see the behavioral model of the organization's design reflect the social and psychological implications of the organizational life. The most popular behavioral models of the organizational design, that is socio-technical systems theory, and the Likert systems, that is so many systems are there. There are systems 1, 2, 3, 4 approaches the organization. 2 and 4 is very relevant in this case. The contingency percentage. Now the last percentage are there. That is your number 3. That is your contingency percentage of the organization's design is founded on the premise that best design for any organization is dependent on the number of situation factors. What are the factors? The most critical situational or contingency factors are external environment, technology, and organization size, because the size is also important. So all these are critical things. So considering these things, contingency percentages you have to plan. That is the type of organizations design factors. The contingency percentages we see. The organizations can be open systems or closed systems. A system is a set of interdependent parts forming an organic whole. The open systems have variable boundaries, and they constantly interact with the external environment because there are some boundaries there in open systems internally and externally also. So this cross over the boundaries, they can interact, they can take the inputs from the things which are very much needed. But in the closed systems, have no such transactions with the external environment. So they are self-contained and operate independently of their external environment. So, however, the modern organizations are open systems and that interact with the environment. So the objectives of the organizations are derived from the overall strategy of the organizations. It is natural that an organization's design is closely linked to the strategy, because when the strategy formation by the seniors and the senior management when they are taking, that should be linked with the strategies. So design organizational designs are specifically your by the strategy. So during a significant change in the strategy, the organization's design need to be modified to accommodate and support the change. So when the strategy functions discussion stage or strategy formation stage, that time from the design point of view, that is required to modify and accommodate for the changes. So there is a considerable empirical evidence to indicate that the choice of an organizational strategy is determined by the contingency factors. Now, one of the diagram I will show you the contingency percentages, that is your contingent determinants of the organizational design. You see the organizational overall strategy is there. What are the inputs are coming from external environment, technology, and organizational size. And finally, it will for the design purposes. So organizational designs are basically the output of the organizational strategy, overall strategy that output are your organizational designs. So there is a one small diagram. Now we have to see the strategy. Now critically you have to understand the what is the strategy basically. The organization strategy describes the organization's goals and the way the organizations expect to reach those goals. An organization's strategy may need to change as changes occurs in its external environment. So it is linking with the external environment. If it is dynamic because external environments are dynamic natures. So based on these, you have to decide your organizational strategy. So environmental external environment. What is the meaning of external environment? Any organization is surrounded by the general environment and the task environment. The general environment consists of the economic, technical, in a bold letter I have written, basically so that to be clear in mind, the environmental, general environment means basically it is economic, technical, socio-cultural, political, legal, and international dimensions. So which have an impact on the organization and it touches in environment. So tax environment comprises of the basically the customers, competitors, suppliers, and government agencies. These are the component of the your tax environment. Now, Barnes and Stalker identify the two constructing forms. They have given two things. One, the stable environment remains fairly constant over the time, and an unstable environment, which is subject to change and uncertainty. Through their study of different organizations, they have studied and operating these two environments. They found it that the organization is stable environment. Basically, this type of tending to have a different kind of structures, and those operating in a unstable environments. So they have selected some of the companies, some of the organizations where they are in the stable conditions and where they are in unstable conditions. So they are the structure they have analyzed the things and they have found out there are different structures. So, so having two different form of structures, then we can decide that is the mechanistic and organic organizations. We can say it. So mechanistic organization is in many respects similar to Max Weller's bureaucratic organizations or Likert organization, which we had just a few times before. We have discussed the bureaucratic. Here actually mechanistic is mechanical. Traditionally, the organizations we can say that way. So they are it is similar with other bureaucratic organizations. Generally found in stable conditions, stable environments, that conditions. The mechanistic organization is characterized by rules, regulations, standardized procedures, and centralized decision making, just like bureaucratic organizations. So, but organic organizations, this resembles the behavioral model and Likert system 4. That's why I'm doing Likert 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just now I have shown in the slides. So now it is 4 is implementations. I mean, applicable for the organizations. It is generally found in unstable conditions. When the organizations are in unstable conditions, then that system is effective. So due to the frequent changes in the environment, organic organizations adopt flexibility, non-routine methods, few rules and regulations. The rule and regulation will be few so that they can changes easily, decentralize the authority and create autonomous work teams. So based on these systems, they are cope up the situation when the environment is very dynamic, changes very fast. So this condition that organic organizations are The work of Barnes and Strater was expanded by two Harvard. But after that, their research and their whatever they have done, Barnes and Strater, it is further forwarded to the Harvard Business School's researchers. They are the researchers. Finally, Mr. Paul Lawrence and J. Loss, their research indicated that as environments becomes more uncertain, organizations need spatial coordination mechanisms such as liaisons of managers, task force, and teams. So it is now additional. I mean, organic organizations. We are talking about these things. There are few rules should be there, and the flexibility should be very fast. Role. I mean, the decentralized authority should be there. Apart from that, now the Harvard Business School researchers, they have added some of the more things. That situation it could be should be your coordination mechanisms are needed, and like that for the coordination the relations managers are required. Task force should be there as a team, and special team should be there. Then overall it can be applied. So this is sequence chronologically how it has happened and how it has guided the things that we are discussing. Now technology. The technology refers to the process by which an organizations convert the inputs, the people, your materials, equipment, money plant, and your money plant and facilities. So the process may be mechanical, as in manufacturing organizations, or it can be service to client as in bank, hospital, or insurance companies. So because all are innovation or automations going on, so technology is required. The process can also be largely mental, as in the organizations that solve the problems or that create new ideas, product and services, R&D organizations, advertising agencies, and software development firms are the example of the. So basically here the brain work is more. It means largely mental as an organization means basically the process where the logic are more because the technology are adopting new technology is coming, so we have to align with the technology basically. So that's why here the mental as an organization, the process. Uh, the Aston Group's study conducted in Birmingham, England, they conducted the organization size was more important than technology as a determinant of structures. Because when you are structuring the things, so they are deciding, they are saying, no, determinant actually size is also important. When the company is very big size, so that time it is more important than technology also. So on the basis of the findings of the studies, they supported technology design linkage. The following conclusions have been drawn. So they have already given some of the conclusions. Unit and process technologies work better with smaller span of control and organic structures. So they are saying it should be unit wise. So where the manpower will be less, and then span of the control will be less. A better way you can control the things. Basically, idea is this. And whereas the mass productions technology, the flourish with wider spans is required span. So where the mass production is there, definitely our control of span will be more, and that should be a bureaucratic structure. So finally, they have derived this thing. If it is a small unit, so span of control will be small, and if it is a big mass production of there, then definitely the span of control will be wider. So routine technologies feature bureaucratic structure, centralized decision making that uses formal written rules and procedures to guide decisions. Now, organizations that use the complex non-routine technologies have more departments, fewer levels of the authority, and more participations in decision-making process, and they use routine technologies. So, for such organizations, an organic structure is appropriate. In this case, organic structure is the appropriate. So, new information technologies so allows for reciprocal interdependency among the parts of an organization in turn furnish in the organic structure rather than a bureaucratic structure. Because when the IT section there will be a more software engineers, more staffs are there in turns. So they are organic structure rather than one is permissible. Size. Now, size is important factor. So, research tells us that large organizations have different structural features than small organizations. So, typically, small organizations have a little specializations, few formal written rules and procedures, and the narrow span of control, informal decisions process, and a simple designs. By contrast, large organizations, if we talking about the large organizations, tend to have a elaborate specializations. So there should be more specializations will be there, should be there. And many formal written rules. There are so many rules. Rules also to be more, and procedures also to be there. So more formalized relationships will be there, and use a decentralized form. That should be a decentralized because centralized cannot be very much effective. Now, topology, we will say the Biswas topology systems, they have integrations by the organizational structures of the contingency factors, provides a clear understanding of the linkage between an organization's business strategy and the organizational design. So there are some of the linkages are there that they have to clear it by these topologies. They believe that every organization has five basic parts. Five basic parts are required. The top management is created at the very top of each organization. This part is also known as strategic apex. So here you have to remember that these things, there are five basic parts are combining, we can say it's a strategic apex. The middle management is found at the intermediate level, and in the bottom in the technical core, which is otherwise called a operating core. So we can see it's the operating core in the bottom. So this is the diagram, and that is the diagram now showing that is your organizational design purposes, the basic part of the organizations. The top management, where the apex, strategic apex are deciding by the top management. Technical professionals are there, the staff, middle management, and here on this side your administrative supportive staff, and in the bottom level there is the operating core. Just now we have discussed there is operating core, your technical core. They are in the bottom level, the ultimately in the top. This is a hierarchy, actually some hierarchy level also. So that is the way. This is a part of the organizations, and it is by the topology by the Biswas. Simple structure, this form of the structure, the form when it is small and entrepreneurs, that is small company organizations. The structure consists of a top management and only a few workers. Some assistants may be performing the overall overlapping activities, and they can their work and multiple tasks they can do it. So that's why it is overlapping activities. While they may be a very small administrative staff, the technical professional staffs are virtually absent. These other features are centralized decision making in formal conditions. So minimal divisions of the labor and organizations employing studying the technology or the small batch processing technology adopt this form of structure. So here we are just talking about the simple structure. Then strategy is structured to process. Here the new perspective is coming up. What are the perspectives that are there? That is your some of the authors and some of the philosophers they have given. The first generation approaches are there. This is the design. Then this should be a complexity and the dynamic nature of the environment. So demand has made and the structural fit. Now, secondly, you have to see that coupled with this, there has been a growing realizations that just focusing on the organizational structure may not be enough to implement complex strategies. So the second thought has come in when the second generations of the models are the organizational design have been developed with focus on the management process that will make strategic decision work. So this is the way the process is being on. This is some sort of the perspectives are coming from the first generation, then second generation. Now, the second generation models are based on the premise that all the structures forms are not equal, efficient, effective in the implementing a given strategy, and therefore the whole of the management is great and internally consistent and the balanced design. So we have to balance the design. Now, some parameters are given. What should the parameters are given? The structural and formal coordinative mechanisms, then the system and the tools, the cultural transformations, and then your structural and the formal coordination machines. This includes the centralization, formalization, and specializations. So these are all the design parameters, especially for the second generation organizations. Then centralizations refer to whether the power of the decision making lies at the upper or lower levels of the chain of the conflict. That has to be there. It may be a decentralization also. So power should be defined. Formalization is also called the standardization. Basically, you have to formalization is standardization. You have to standard indicates the contents of to which the policies, rules, job descriptions should be written down somewhere, and procedures should be there, and maybe formatted. Some of the in the booklet forms, or some of it should be preserved in somewhere in the library also, or maybe in the every department should have a that procedure. Should be a standard. Should be one of the books should be there. The degree of specialization refers to the number of the specialization tasks that are carried out through the separate and the distinct functions. Now, these restructuring strategies, the restructuring decisions design of the organizations play a very important role, and in the organizational strategy and the operational strategy of the organizations, a small organization must seek to retain the advantages of the small organizations, even when that grows in the size or complexity. So there are several common features there. So then, how is the basically the development things? The increase in specializations. That is the one. Higher skills and the multiplicity. Then increased use of the formal system of the procedures and shifting emphasis from hierarchy to lateral levels, because all the power, all the that should be communication should be very liberal, and everywhere it should be lateral. Both way can communicate. So this is the idea. Now, greater and the middle levels, basically, particularly in techno structure and the support services. Greater increase in the number of people who supervise, coordinate activities than those who perform basic tasks. So it should be increased. Growing emphasis on the delegation and the decentralization. That should be growing stage. So restructuring strategies we have discussed. Now, some of the item topics we can discuss about the factors of affecting organizational structures, meaning of the things. So, what are the key factors of the theories are? So, first, the meaning of the organizational design structures. The term organizational design refers to how various parts of the organizations are the distinct elements are brought together. So that main idea is so how to brought together to make it. That is the idea. Design should be such a way so that we can make it possible to bring together. So it considers both how these elements match together and way in which they may analyze and include. So the design aspects broadly included are listed here. Some of the processes are given and procedures. Handle and pass informations, make decisions, then procedure results, communicate informations, plan develop and then manage resources, innovate and handle crises. So these all are the your process. Now we can say that realize the number of the objectives. What are the basically the objectives should be to support the organizational strategy. So design structure design should be there such a way so that in the time of strategy making time, where the organizational strategy has been formed and already decided, so to support these things so that we can achieve these things. So these things to be designed time, you have to calculate. So structure should be designed in such a way so that we can assure the realization of the organization's goal and objectives. Another thing, the efficient and effective way it should be. Then third part is your effective decision should be there, the provide. And then after that, effective coordinations. This is very much important for the decision making purposes. And naturally, we enhance the communications. And should be both ways should be up to down or down to across the organizations also. So communication should be there. Now, broadly, I can say another part is there to with the effective monitoring and the review. So this is also area we have to that activities. Here actually we are talking about the design. During the organizational design, what is the purpose? And you have to keep in mind all these aspects, which are actually written in the bold letters, means you have to keep in mind where to achieve these things. You cannot we cannot compromise these things. So effective monitoring and the review is required. Then change in markets, what are the market is changing, we have to cope up. That function should be there. That mechanism should be there basically. It should have the mechanisms so that we can cope up the situation when the market is variation or market changes. Or external environment is also dynamic nature. So internal and external environment when they are different form. So what are the changes in the things that everything should be good mechanism should be there. Then crisis and problems will be there. So we should have a proper tools and tackles to do some aid should be there so that we can handle it properly. To help the motivate, manage, and give some job satisfaction to the individual members of the organizations should be there from the HR department side. That should be circulated or can be interacted, meeting, the thing, counseling, all these parties. To provide for the management success, yeah, it's very important because you see management success is required so that everybody should know where I will be after the retirement, what will the benefit should be there, and after 10 years, what issue I have. So that should be succession process should be there, and it should be provided and should be written somewhere. Yes, after 10 years will be this position, manager, chief manager, or after the general manager. So everything should be listed and defined. Now, good organization design should go along with the following principles. Some of the principles are there that we have to follow these things. The various part of this strategy is into specialized areas. So definitely at the time of structuring, you have to be careful about some of the specialized areas there where to look upon. The specialists need to be interlinked, and that what are the areas that should be interlinked with others. Level is very important at the time of structuring because and try to be it should be few possible because lot of levels may create a problem. So the levels of the structuring is very important. And span of the control, which I have already discussed, the span of the control, the number of subordinates directly managed, and will vary according to this thing. So that's why the span of control should be appropriate. It should be properly decided and effective. Then only we can get a effective benefit. So another thing, unity of command is also important, and your clear role and the add value, and then your definitely the situation based on the situation should be centralized or the decentralized. That has to be that provision should be there. Then your structure must be designed to take account the changes in the environment. That is also important because should be capable to the changes of the environment, which can be including the economy, legislations, market, technology, then developments and geography, culture, influence, everything has to be covered up. Then your universalistic theory is another thing. There are two theory are there, and you can see it is the theory of design screen. So it assumes that there is a one best way to organize. It means the maximum. So then only we can say it is a performance-oriented company. So classical management of the earlier, we have seen the organizational things, and then here the maximum organizational performance results from the maximum formalizations, means standards or the specializations are there. If your organizations are standardized and your everything are specialized subunits, definitely your organizational performance will be more. So that is the university activities changes. Another thing is the new human relations, which claimed that organizational performance is maximized by the maximizing participants. Then contingency theory is there. Structural contingency theory contains the three core areas. There is one of the first, there is an association between the contingency and the organizational structures. Secondly, your contingency determine the organizational structure because an organization that changes its contingency plan and consequences changes in structures. Third is there is a fit of some level of the organization structure variable to each level of the contingency, which leads to the higher performance. So, whereas the misfit leads to lower performance. So this is the way it is defined, and it provides the theoretical explanation of the first two points. So contingency theory are like this. There are three parts, basically three elements: first, second, and third. Is defined. Now, some of the key factors. As we already discussed, the size is very important. Is it bigger is better? Not. So definitely the small company means smaller size, their profit will be less, and the bigger company, where the size is bigger, definitely profit margin will be more. It's the general type of things. Basically, the model you can see. So environment in this case, one of the another important factors, that is our organizations as open system, because it should be open system. Closed systems may not be effective, so you need to receive various inputs, because open systems will allow you to enter the inputs from the environment directly. So and to sell various outputs to their environment. So therefore, it is important to comprehend to what the environment is and what elements are likely to be important. Strategy. Organizational strategy refers to the organizational positions itself and the setting in the relation to its stockholders, given in the organization's resources, capabilities, and the missions. So basically, the two type of strategies are popular. Present is our generic, and another is competency-based strategies and technology. There are two things. For competency-based strategy, and it is famous nowadays and worldwide, everywhere that type of strategy is going on. Everybody are implementing and executed also a lot of places, especially in the IT areas. Competency-based strategies are more effective rather than the others. Customers market is also the organizational study is also effective because the market is also volatile. So that time you have to see what the things are there, and the structure should be what are the your design structural structures should be cope up. Our organization is providing the services to the broad range of the customers in a large number of locations, because you should be widely spread it, and so that customers should be happy. So you need have some branch offices, and banks and post office are also doing a lot of branches. With some particular area, there are populations are there, no branch is there. So bank are identifying particular these locations so that they can have achieve a more profit. That is the customers and the market are also one of the factors. Process. The process used within the organizations also affect the structures. Productions line process consists of a number of distinct tasks carried out the people specializations. So some of the what happens basically in the during the process maybe is needed more skill, and that skilled man is not there. So it will affect in your process. Maybe the group, as a group, team is there, the team is not well aware of this thing, this particular this process. So that some sort of your specialized people is required. Some task force is required, different stages. So this is also a factor. People. People in the organizations affecting the structure is the number of ways because structures do not just, I can say, believe in their approaches because it is a human nature. Sometimes they are not supportive. They are reluctant to do these things. The structure is also affected by the types of the jobs and the people within the organization. They are unhappy. There are no job satisfactions. So it will affect your government. Geography is also important because the locations, the spreading the organization's effect is structured mainly because of the need and there are the raw materials it should be easily accessible and the customers and labor can be easily available. So geography is one of the important organization structures because the location are basically the locations very important where the raw materials are availability. Then your product and services is one of the area where if it is a delay, product some of the services are not timely or so can be a problem. The advantage of the products specializations are important because it provides a focus on the specific area. So specialization area are more important. Some of the disadvantages is too much focus on the product may overlook the customers because if you are always in the research, if you're launching the new product, everything, but you are not looking up the customers' demand, what they are liking, the real needs, so it is a disadvantage. Optional effectiveness, we can say that some of the things where your how to improve the productivity. So a lot of organizational authors are given organizational effectiveness can broad area. And then some of the effectiveness, the quality effectiveness, there are eight is given. The Fortune magazines apply these things: the quality of the management, quality of the products, services, innovativeness, and long-term investment value, financial soundness, ability to attract the development, keep the talent people's responsibility to the committee. There are so many aspects of this which are related. Four effectiveness criteria is there. So nowadays, one is the criteria is a goal accomplished. So you have to finish the things. Resource acquisitions because the resources are there or not. That is one of the things. You have to acquire the things. Internal process are very should be strong enough. Strategic or contingencies satisfactions are also very important because without this you cannot fulfill these things. So then only you can effectiveness will be increased. So I think now this is the way we can cover up some of the things. Now today we have now finished your unit number 4 and unit 5, where we have discussed the basically structural designs and whether the need of this important is there. What are the criteria and what are the your procedures? Also, we have discussed a lot of things. And then after that, we will discuss your finally you have to discuss your organizational effectiveness of these things. So I hope I have covered up almost all the area of the today's topics and mainly there's a theoretical part. So we have to go through these slides and the videos when will be loaded, uploaded, and along with the IGNO materials, whether the study materials are there. I'm trying to put all the materials in such a way so that I can take a gist of the materials and try to put it in a slide mode, PPT mode, so that it will easily you can understand. If you go through this, then after that you can further you can read the books. It will be more creating interest to read the books further. So then this is the way we can finish up the chapters and you can understand the things. So mainly the topics you have to understand, you have to write in your own languages and read it for the try to clear the concept fast and then write in your own languages. That is better. First introduction of things, any questions and things, then you have to add some of the points And you have to derive the thing, what are the advantage, what are the disadvantage, definitely have to write it. And finally, you have to give some conclusions so that you can conclude in that way. And so that if you give it a refer some of the companies, also very good. Because sometimes the references or example is very important, considering the exam point of view. So, because when you are go for the any solution, I mean the case studies, then it will be more easy. Then you can realize these things, how to implicate the things. And some of the companies are like this merger. I mean, in the market, see the market how to survive the risk. Another point actually, I can highlight the restructuring, because you see there some of the things are there, how to select it all these things. So okay, I think now thank you very much.
Okay.
All the best. Thank you.